Hi, everybody. It's me again. I'm doing all my books at once today because on Saturday I'm going to be at the craft show on the 7th over in Mays Landing at Atlantic. I will post the links and the addresses below so you can put it on your GPS. We're going to have over 30 books displayed. You're getting a 20% off on all your books over Amazon. So you can pick them up right there and mail them right there if you want to for your gifts. These make great gifts and they're inexpensive. These are inexpensive gifts, anywhere ranging from $10 for the children's books to $16 for something like this, which is for adults. So you have something for everybody, children and adults now. I used to only have children's books like in color, but now I've done adult books and I think they're fantastic. And so today I'm going to present to you this book, which I just completed. It's called Freedom from Narcissists: Brave Stories of Survival and Healing. So this book consists of stories of each for each type of survival of a narcissist, and if it's not a downer, like it's not really a downer, okay. Um, it's really more of an inspirational book. It gives you power. So if you know someone who has had narcissists uh, destroy them or hurt them in a way. This is an empowering book for people if you yourself have had this problem. And we all have in some way at some point in our lives, whether it's family, whether it's bosses at work, and other people in our lives who have this personality disorder called narcissism. And they tend to be very cruel or they tend to be very controlling. And sometimes we can't escape them because they might be a boss, for example. So this book has a lot of. Let me go through some of them to see how it's 40 pages, just like our children's book. So it's $16. It gives you. I'm sorry, this one's $12. This is not 60. The book, um, the Angel's book is a little more expensive. It's more pages. This is 40 pages. I tried to condense it into 40 pages because I don't really think you need to read so much to understand narcissists. They're kind of simple creatures and the steps are very simple. And so you could tell somebody ad nauseum what they have to do, the steps they have to take. But in fact, a story will really communicate this, and it has to be a short story. People have short attention spans, so I've condensed these stories very very cleverly into one page. So let me show you how this looks. This is the introduction to the book. Okay, these are the stories. Okay, and this one talks about a lady who walked away after many years when her husband was very emotionally abusive and not supporting her writing. So she ended up, that wasn't me. My husband loves my writing. Okay. Yes. And it shows what her emotions are. It's a very emotional book because it goes from the point of view of the person finally making that move away from the narcissist after many years, maybe after a long relationship, and walking away and how they feel. Okay, and this will feel similarly if it's a husband, a relative, a parent, and a boss. And I've had narcissist bosses, unfortunately. I was a consultant, so a lot of people will hire you and it turns out the boss is a narcissist and that's why they can't get anybody else to work with them, so they hire consultants like me. So I have to put up with them for about 3 months until the day the contract is over, and then that's the happiest day of your life because they were horrible people. So that's just a little bit about my job as a consultant. Fortunately, they pay you very well to put up with the narcissist. So if you know the techniques, you can actually live through it. Okay. So And it's never permanent, so you're not stuck with them forever. Okay, so for those that have narcissist bosses, I think you know what I mean. Okay, so this is the day she walked away, and everything has an image, just like it was a children's book. Why? Because they're pretty. Because you shouldn't have to read all this text, and it shouldn't go on and on. These stories on one page. This is the entire story. That's it. That's the story. It tells you what it needs to tell you. It tells you the emotions you're going to feel, and it gives you an image that's similar to what is in the story. It's sort of like a children's book for adults, because a lot of people that came to the craft show told me that they loved the books for the children, but they didn't have any children at home anymore. They were all grown up. So what were they going to do? Wait for grandchildren? And I said, well, you know, you could take it for yourself. And one of them actually did. A few of them took the books and they said, I'll take it, but I'll look at it and then I'll give it to a neighbor. I said, okay, so these people really wanted the book. They just didn't have children to share it with. So I said, well, you can give it to your library, you can donate it, or you can take the pictures and make crafts with it, because they're pretty. So they told me what kinds of books they wanted. I said, well, if I had books for adults like this, what would be the subjects? And they all grabbed The Worry Monster. Why? Because The Worry Monster is all about anxiety. And narcissists can give you anxiety for sure. Narcissists will give you plenty of anxiety. And they all had worries and they all had problems, and they were looking for a positive, happy book, not one that tells you what to do, gives you a lot of hundreds of pages of information and research, and they just want something that'll make them feel good for now, okay, and maybe give them an example of how somebody else ended up surviving this. So this is it, and let me read you the introduction to this book. Let me give you another example. This is another story, The Mirror Lies. And this is a sad one because this one, and I don't have too many of these. I think I only have one or two, of a battered wife or battered girlfriend. And it's a whole poem about how she feels. And this is the image. Okay. So now let me go to the next one because this was the only depressing one. And a friend who saved me is someone that also was suffering verbal abuse and emotional abuse. And the friend told her that she had to leave. Okay. Step into the powerful collection of stories that shine a light on the courage it takes to break free from the shadows of narcissistic relationships. And I'm sorry, I have to look at my notes in the front of me and they're on the side. Okay. Freedom from Narcissists is a poignant and empowering book filled with tales of resilience, renewal, and hope. Stories that will inspire you to reclaim your life and rediscover your strength. Inside these pages, you'll meet Margaret, a mother whose narcissistic daughter's manipulations push her to finally set boundaries and reclaim her peace. Sarah, who chooses herself over partners' constant belittlement and rediscovers her creative spark. Jordan, a man who learns to overcome societal stigmas and speak out about his emotional abuse. Sophia, who transforms her space in life after confronting a manipulative partner who has drained her emotionally and financially. And Margaret, age 71, who takes the bold step to pursue a lifelong dream, leaving behind a controlling spouse. Each story, whether inspired by true events or crafted to reflect real struggles, offers a unique perspective on surviving and thriving after escaping toxic dynamics. These are just stories. These are not just stories of leaving. They are stories of healing, resilience, and personal transformation. You'll love this book. Um, and here I have a lot of text that's really more for keywords. In some of these stories, you might find Lydia and Charles, which is a recollection of my dad. Unfortunately, was a narcissist. He had his good sides. I do to write well about him in other types of contexts, but he had his narcissistic side, and I do share with that in one of the stories in here about when we got married. Let me see if I can get to it. Um, Unfortunately, the way this goes is you have to go through all the pictures. Let me just quickly go through all the as if you were paging through the book, okay, and show you. I love this one. Absolutely, look at the beauty of this face, this poor woman, the absolute horror of what she was going through with her husband and how she escapes in a bus because she just can't take it anymore. Escape to freedom is this. This is another battered wife, actually a wealthy one. You could see she has a leather designer bag and a very expensive coat, but she was battered by her abusive and very wealthy husband. A letter to my abuser. This is a guy that I got inspired by him by the character Monk. I don't know if I love that story. It's about Monk, a detective with OCD, and and he has an impeccable apartment. He's got OCD, and people, but he's nice and vulnerable, and somebody took advantage of him, which he did in the story too. Um, this is a lady who was told never to laugh, that was ridiculed by her husband, and she finally finds her smile. A man who was told he couldn't play the guitar in the apartment and who was financially abused. Uh, a lady who was taken advantage financially by a man who pretended to be her lover but was actually gay. And this is not like things that haven't happened. These are things that have happened. I just fictionalized them. The boss that took credit for my work, that was me. Okay. Yeah, years ago I sort of looked like this, but not anymore. Okay, I'm 72 now. But yeah, I had a boss who took credit for my work. Yes. And I didn't get fired, but she did. So finally, pursuing her dream at 71, someone that pursued her dream of singing, uh, a young person who doesn't want to be a lawyer. Okay. And that would be me and Charles, and that was my dad, and he did not want to give me up. He did not want to give me up when I got married, and it was hard to get him into the ceremony. But it happened. We've been married 50 years now. Okay. Okay. So sugar coated trap. I just love this picture. I love it. Look at her face. Oh my God. She meets a guy that's very controlling and wants to control even how the cake is designed, and she doesn't like it and finally leaves him. Okay. Uh, and this is about the Wicked Witch. If you've had a daughter and she has felt that she wanted to tell you off sometimes, and they can be pretty cruel, adult daughters. And I have friends who tell me the same thing. I don't know why they do that, but they do. So this is a lady that this comes from a friend of mine. The daughter is brutal with her and her comments, and I think they don't. They think we're made out of rubber or something because they don't realize we have feelings. But mothers who have adult daughters know what I'm talking about in this story. Okay, so and there's an epilogue here about and these are sort of a representation of the characters in the stories and how they've escaped and how happy they are. Oops, that's the angel one. And these are, it's kind of the same thing. These are all the characters in the story represented, not all 18, but most of them, and how they go to a path of freedom from narcissists where they survived and they healed, because it is a painful process to give up your narcissist. A lot of them are parents, a lot of them are teachers, they might be bosses that you depend on them for your paycheck. Um, they also, the transformation, some people transform into narcissists over time, or they take their masks off and they show who they really are, and they're very controlling people. The reason for narcissism can be attributed to similar abuse when they were children. And it is something that is generational, not genetic, but generational. If they've endured narcissism and survived, they more likely will be narcissists. And the other thing about narcissists that is very depressing is the fact that they don't change. Once a person has developed this personality of narcissism, it's very unlikely that they will change. And the expectation that you might have that they will get better is not true. It's never going to happen. And other therapists will tell you about this because they know these personalities and they have all the stories, and they could tell you, no, you're not going. They're not going to change. They're going to be the same. And usually, some of them are tolerable over time, and you can learn to live with them. And others are just to the point that you have to walk away, because otherwise you are losing parts of your life. You're losing parts of yourself. So you need to walk away. And it's the most difficult part. So these are 18 stories of people that have walked away from narcissists, whether it's husbands, parents, bosses, and how they felt. It's very focused on the emotions in the stories. And I was going to read a story, but this is going too long. But I really think you're going to enjoy this book if you're interested in this topic of narcissism, which a lot of people are. But it is an uplifting book because it shows you the good things about walking away. It shows you the path to the sunshine, of living without the narcissist uh, ruining your day every day. Okay. Once you get free of them, you can find a better life. So that's pretty much why I wrote this, because I wanted it to be a positive book, as all my books are. Thank you very much. I'm going to probably see you again soon to introduce another book, which I also wrote as a series of adult. I call them adult children's books because they're 40 pages and they have 18 pictures and 18 stories. So, but they're packed. They're packed with information, and so you don't need to read a 300-page book on narcissism to learn everything you're going to learn from this 40-page book with pretty pictures that you can frame. So you're going to learn from these characters and these people, and you're going to learn that there is a path to freedom from narcissism, and you're going to enjoy it. I think so. I hope it also